third and final question of the day. If 144x to the third, y to the fifth, c to the negative second is divided by 4x to the negative second, y to the ninth, z to the fourth, and equals 2 to the a, 3 to the b, x to the c, y to the d, z to the e, for all non-zero real numbers x, y, and z, find the value of a minus b plus c minus d plus e. Okay, the key is basically, do you know how to handle exponents with division? That's really the question here. So if we go and we look, here's a basic division problem. I don't know how you were shown to do this. My guess is if without a calculator, they probably said look for things that divide them equally. I'm going to show you the algebra way to simplify this problem. And the algebra way to simplify this problem is to factor tree both the top and the bottom. So if you factor tree 48, it's 6 times 8. And so then what you end up with when you finally get it all said and done is you get 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 3. And again, that's 4, 8, 16. 16 times 3 is 48. If you break down 60, you get 2 times 2 times 3 times 5. And again, 2 times 3 is 4, times 3 is 12, times 5 is 60. Now, whatever is on top and bottom reduces. It cancels out. It divides to 1 is effectively what happens. So these 2's divide to give you a 1. And they're basically gone. They're not relevant anymore. They're a 1. These 2's divide to give you a 1. So again, they're gone. And then the 3's divide to give you a 1. And so then our final answer is 4/5. That's how we algebraically divide or reduce fractions. Now, had I had variables in here, had I had, a to the fifth to the third, and on the bottom I had a to the seventh, and also up here I had, let's say, b to the 11th, and down here I had b to the third. Well, basically, you end up in the exact same situation. Okay, everything cancels the same. Just as I had reduced down the extra 2's and the extra 3, I'm going to do the same thing here. So if we write it all back out again, let's write it all out so we can see it. So 2 times 2, well, it would help if I put the multiplication in there. There we go. All right. Now, if I wrote out all those A's, A, and I wrote out all the B's, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. And then on the bottom, again, I'm going to write out 2 times 2 times 3 times 5. And then I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 A's and 1, 2, 3 B's. In the exact same way that these 2's, these first two 2's, took out the bottom two 2's, and the 3, took out the 3. 3 of these A's are going to take off 3 of the A's in the bottom because they reduce. They divide to give you 1. 3 of these B's will come up here and take out 3 of these B's because, again, they're reduced. So now you're left with 4, and then you have now B to the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8th power. And on the bottom, you have A to the 5th power. Now, you'll notice in the question over here, they don't want anything written in the bottom. Well, how do we do that? Well, we do that with negative exponents. So I could write this as, by the way, 2, again, remember 4 is 2 2's, so I could write this as, I could write this as 2 to the 2nd power times 5, Now, because it's normally to the 1, but I brought it to the top, so that would be to the negative first power. And then my variables would be a, and again, because I'm bringing a to the 5th to the top, it becomes to the negative 5th power, and then b to the 8th power. That's how I could have written it if I didn't want to write anything as a fraction. So now if we go back to our original problem, we're going to do exactly what I just did. We're going to have the fraction, and we're going to break down 144. And if you break down 144, factor tree, it's 12 times 12, 12's breakdown. Hopefully you don't have any problems doing that. You get 2 to the 4th power times 3 to the 2nd power. And then we still have, now I am going to talk about something real quick before I do this x. Look, I've got x to the negative 2nd. Negative exponents mean reciprocals. They mean bring what's on bottom to top, what's on top to bottom. So I'm going to move or take these two, and they're going to move to the top and become a positive 2. So I had 3 x's, and now I actually have 5, and I don't have any left on the bottom anymore. All right, so then we're going to do y to the 5th. And then the z, see these z to the negative 2? I'm going to move those to the bottom. So I'm going to go down here to the bottom. Say, okay, well, I'm going to break down 4. 4 is 2 squared. And then I move the x's, so I don't have any x's. And then now I'm going to have y to the 9th. And now, like I said, I moved 2 of those z's from the top because it's negative. I moved it down to the bottom. That became a positive. So now I have 6 z's down there. So this is where I am most of the way through. Now I just have to do some simplifying, although I made a typo in here. This is clearly a 2. Okay, so now I have 4 2's on top, 2 2's on bottom. If I wrote them out and slashed them, I'd have 2 2's left on the top. 2 squared. There are no 3's on the bottom, so the 3 squared doesn't change. 3 squared. Now x's. There are no x's on the bottom anymore, so again, nothing's canceling out. That doesn't change. It's x to the 5th. Now y's. Okay, I have 5 y's on top. I have 9 y's on the bottom. If I wrote them out and slashed, I'd be left with 4 y's on the bottom. But the answer doesn't want anything in the fraction, in the denominator. So I'm going to move those to the top. And in doing so, the exponent becomes negative. So I'm going to get y to the negative 4th. And then finally, there are no z's on top anymore. And again, all the z's are on the bottom. So I'm going to move those to the top. And when I do, that becomes a negative 6. Well, now that I've done that, I know exactly what A, B, C, D, and E are. I can quickly replace them. So now to do my problem, I want A, so that's 2, minus B is also 2, plus C is 5, D is negative 4, and E is negative 6. And so now I have 2 minus 2, which is 0, plus 5, which is 5, minus negative 4. Now, of course, then subtracting negative makes it a positive, so that becomes 5 plus 4, which is 9, plus negative 6 is 3. So the value of A minus B plus C minus D plus E of this simplified exponential question is 3. Again, if something confuses you or don't understand, don't hesitate to send me an email.